Hello Tech Genius, I am Ravi. Have you ever imagined a place where learning is as dynamic as the technology shaping your world? Then here's a deal. With iMatix, you can make sure the learning is exciting, impactful right from the beginning. You have interactive sessions with expert-led courses. In the world of tech, from data science to cloud computing, it's not just about a session, it's about doing, building, learning by solving real problems. So let's get started. Today we will discuss something really important but yet an easy one and a very easy concept relating to field values. We will see what are these field values, how do you use it and why do you can't figure it. Let's understand what this field values is about. Suppose once you start building an application for a particular property, let's say you some drop down or something, it allows specific options or it allows specific list of choices. Let me put it this way, list of choices is there which has to be populated every time you populate that field. Now for example, let's consider that these values, let us take a drop down. Let the drop down be country where you get all the list of all the countries in that drop down to be populated. And assume this has to be modified frequently. Generally, what we do is we would either put it as a local list directly on the property level. That directly I can make changes on the property. Yes, as a local list, we would ideally do that. But if I have like around 200 countries to be listed out, is it practical for me to list out all the 200 there on the property? And also in case there are some changes, see when it is a property, then I'll have to know unlock it. When obviously it would be locked. Once the application is ready to deploy, it would be locked. In case there are some changes, what would I do? I should go back, unlock it, add or make the changes, then lock it, which probably is not a good approach, isn't it? Instead of the local list, what we do is try to use an alternate method called field values. Field values are a separate, you can call them as a rule type separately. Instead of having the values associated to a property or something, we create these as separate entities. We use these field values that I can manage them as separate entities. All my regular aspects of the rules, like your versioning circumstances or the class level inheritance. All these can now be applied to the field values instead of just a data. Now I can refer them as rules directly. They are not just any random data, but they are considered as rules in the application. Let's see what this is all about. I think we'll directly jump into the studio. We'll have a look into it directly. Let me just log in. Yes, here is the application. Let me go to the case style. It says no lock rules or questions. Let me just go back to my application definition. I just unlock this. Ideally, you shouldn't be unlocking this first one when you have a lot of other things. But for this user, he doesn't have access to the new version. He cannot make any changes on this application. That's why I'm just going to unlock this, that I can operate on this particular version. Because this user has got access only until 0102, but nothing of 0102 is available for making changes. I'm just unlocking it. Now I have 0101 available for making changes. This user does not have any privilege to run the transaction or so far. Now it is fine. I was talking about a local list and populate the values and all. Let's see that with a regular approach. First, we'll see the regular approach. Then we'll try to use the field values. We'll see what is going to be the difference. Let me just have this section for that personal info. Open the process. Get personal info. Open the section. I'm going to build a drop down with a given set of values. I'm going to just create a simple property for country, and that is going to be a drop down. For that, let me create this property. Let me create a property for country, and where is it applied? It is part of your property. I'm going to save it. Let me just go back. Now let me use a drop down. I'm going to use a drop down and I'm going to point it to the country property. But do I have the choices yet? This is a regular approach that is followed when you have to choose a list of entities. Be it a drop down or radio choice or an auto complete or a search. But we will see what disadvantages we have with this approach. Yes, here is the drop down. Let me just point it to the country property. Yes, but does it have any values yet? No, the property added some. Here instead of the table type here, if you see, I'm going to go local list. There are all the options that we want. These are going to be my options. Let us add more. Something like this. I'm going to save it. I'll go back to my section and save this as well. We'll run the transaction. Obviously, the expectation is that the country drop down would be populated. It's part of the new rule set 021. One moment. This is part of our validation that we have considered. Sorry, not. I think it's part of the checkout rule that makes some change. I'm going to remove this version. Remove this 0 to leave 1. It is 001 is locked. But I don't see it. It's not locked. Or this user does not have access to it. This user has access only into allow 1 to 2. But it can't make changes into 0 to 1. It is locked. Let us release the lock and let us do delete. When we do a release lock, is the section which is part of this rule set will be unlocked, or the entire rule set will be unlocked? No, only this. On this particular rule, a lock is acquired and that is released, not for the entire rule set. Now checkout, it has a checkout version. Let's discard this checkout rule. That's why it's always a good practice that lock the earlier version first, only then proceed to the new versions. Then coming back, then doing something on it is again not suggested. considering all these complexities. Now you see, as it is just a simple control that we have added, it is that I can discard it and then I can make some changes again. But working on it for the whole day and then it gets overridden, as you know, it's like not a good practice. I don't have a rule here. Let me go back. We will see till part of 2 to 1. It is on the rule level also. Now I don't have any rules as part of this. We will see. Still part of case. Part of my Zalodwaranum 1. Let me quickly go ahead and add in my country drop down again. Let's map it to the country property. One more thing is each time I cannot, check in, check out all of that every time. I'm just disabling this because as a single developer for now I can proceed. But otherwise combined environment. The expectation is that we should be able to see the drop down for the list of values you have given. That called 5 or 6 entities. This process is most suitable. Each case type. If it is having a separate list, then I think this is. But use this for case types. I mean, there is this country property. Then set off list for each case type. Can I use it? For better usability and for better handling, better maintenance, we tend to create them as field values. And also one more advantage here is let me just show you this once we run the transaction. Supposing in the options in the drop down you might show the entire country name, something like this. United States of America, you might show the entire thing there. But when the user make a choice and store it in the DB, you wouldn't store the same thing. I mean, you wouldn't store the United States of America. Instead, you would have a code. If you have 3 characters, not more than that, you set the column size to a maximum of 4 characters. This local list, what happens is the one that you select or one that you would choose is at the runtime is going to be for these selections. The same thing is going to be available on your clipboard. The value stored on the clipboard, you cannot have any, is not possible. That's one more disadvantage that we would be looking at. Ideally, what happens is whatever the choice that we make on this transaction, the same value is available on the clipboard. But in case you need some decoder or if you want some abbreviations to be stored, for the user it has to be different, but for storing in the DB, this scenario cannot be handled by your local list. Because when it's a local list, whatever the user selects or whatever the user sees, the same thing is available on my clipboard, the same thing goes in my DB. Again, that advantage of having some abbreviations or having different entities for different users is missing. Why is it taking long to just run the transaction also? Because the rule resolution is taking time. Is the instance is also taking time to load. Just reiterating the disadvantages of your local list is you cannot reuse these entities for different case types because it's part of a particular property. Even if maybe you can create it on a parent level class, but still when you have different lists for different case type, you cannot localize these values. Localization again could be part of localizing your application for different locales and for different geographies. That localization part cannot be possible with your local list. Then obviously the one that you see is the one that you have on the clipboard. It's like the exact same thing is available on the clipboard, but you cannot decode it or you cannot have any abbreviations when it is part of a local list. These can be start you. You mentioned that for a particular property. For a particular property, I want to have a list, and if I want the user to say United States of America, but in the background I want to store it as USA. For that we have prompt list as well. For that, sorry, we have prompt list. Prompt list, yes, to an extent agreed. But again, the use of this field values is these data, the choices that you are having. They are no longer handled as data. Instead, they're handled as rules. All the things that we have discussed yesterday, part of rule resolution, meet your circumstances. Versioning privileges, different. All those will now apply for the field values. That's the advantage we get here. If we have it on the property, then go. If we have it on the property in the form of localness, then it will not have a rule set specific. It will not be treated as a tool. It will be just like any other normal rule, but the data in it cannot be identified, or no, the data cannot be considered as a separate rule. Finally, the instance is loaded, but I don't see anything relating to our country dropdown. Seems like it is not saved at all. Seems like it's not saved. I see it's taking more time. I mute. You want to feel that you were in the one last second is this case. You will see Open New or Pending Approval Findings. You get to see all those are your field values. That is expected to have these on the local list. This good visibility and all cannot be. Create some field values data model. Yes, here is your field. Here we will be creating field values with the options. The choices that you are going to have will become the entity here. They are going to be the field values. And you can have it specific to a particular class. Let me name the label. Label is going to be your options this time. It's not country, but it is going to be the actual value of you. That my names will be. The list of properties available. Let me map it to the instead of local list, this time it is going to be a field value. Wherein, here I don't need to define anything, just that you mentioned the field values, and here you can decide which class are you going to look at. For example, and which field are you looking at? I want to have the country related field. The same name is the in. That will give the name of the property on which we want to have a field value. Yes, here on this configuration, you see the field name is country. The label or the field value is going to be your choices. And for each choice, we have to create a separate field value. Initially it might feel very hectic in order to create all those things, but the advantages is a lot more. Maybe you will have the usability factors coming into picture. Then your localization comes into picture. Then you are now the same thing available on the clipboard. You can resolve that issue. Considering these advantages, it is still good. We create them as field values. Show you this. This is the loading. We created one field value for one of the choices. I think in India we created for the rest of them also. Similarly, we have to create these fields. Come on. We'll see for another couple of minutes if it's still the same, I think. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.